Special thank you to our sponsors of Marketing with Russ, Country Vitamins, the Alzheimer's Association, and Joan Williams and Karen Pascal and Living the Holistic Lifestyle. For more information on Country Vitamins in Corvallis, Oregon, and their amazing vitamins and supplements, go to countryvitamins.com. And for more information on the Alzheimer's Association and how to give to this amazing organization fighting to find a cure for Alzheimer's, go to alz.org. And finally, for information on Joan Williams and Karen Pascal and living the holistic lifestyle, go to heal.me/bestself. Ta-da! Here we are. I did it for the first time ever. I want to know how detailed all of you are listening out there, because all my guests, I'm wondering if any of them caught it, but I was doing back-to-back sponsor videos. And at the beginning of Russ Reels Live sponsor video, I said Marketing with Russ. There you go. All right. Well, I do them both, and I was doing the sponsor videos back-to-back. And so there you go. But it's the first time I've ever done that on a different show. So there's always a first for everything, right? And we're live, so it's already happened. So whoop. I guess I could have just pretended it didn't happen, but I thought it was so hilarious, I had to bring it up. So there we go. But listen, I am so glad, so glad you're all here today, because you know what? I'm super excited about our topic. I mean, it is I think it's kind of a big topic today. You know what? Overcoming fears to build success. And you can see those great smiling faces that are here to help me with this discussion, because fear stops so many people. Fear can just shut you down. In fact, talking to Nick, who's going to be on the show, and she'll be on first here, about collaborative books. And she and I have done a couple together, and I'm working on another one. And part of what I'm talking about is not letting fear shut you down, whether it's fear over health or over life circumstances or finances, or just being afraid to be out among people. Fear shuts so many people down and isolates them. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm super excited about that. But first, before we jump into all that, wanted to tell you we are here on Russ Reels Live. We're here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for your listening and viewing pleasure. And I can tell I need a drink of water. So it's going to be a great show, and we're here every week. I love to connect with people, and you can connect with me at russhedge.com. It's super simple, super easy. Just go to russhedge.com. It's got all of my information, one stop about me, whether you're looking into live streaming, what I am doing, or producing live streams for others, if you'd like to talk about that, or coaching on live streams, or if you like marketing coaching, keynote speaking. Love to speak to people. As you can tell, I love to talk. And so, yes, I would love to help you out at your event. If you're looking to motivate your team and your business, I'm your man. So anyway, I'd love to help with that. Also, really trying to build our YouTube page. Love for you to go to our YouTube page. You can just go to russreels.live. It's ticking along the bottom there. And I also have it here somewhere that I will put it up as soon as I find where I have it. There it is, russreels.live, russreels.live. And that will take you directly to my YouTube page, and you can subscribe today. And I would love for you to do that. What does that do for you? Well, it makes it a lot easier, quick access to all the amazing people that have made me look good on almost 400 episodes of Marketing with Russ. And I don't know how many episodes of Russ Reels Live. I don't keep track of those episodes. So there's been a lot. And so we do them every week. And it's just amazing, amazing people that I am blessed to have as friends. And today is like no other day. I am just excited for this conversation. So if you want to get in touch with me again, or you're interested in buying one of my books, like Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, Rattled Awake Volume 1, which I did with Nick, and also the Note to My Family, I Am Your Legacy. I'm almost got held up on that one. That one just came out around Christmas time. That is amazing. And Nick led the charge on that book. That was her baby. Loved that book. Gave a copy, signed copy with a nice note to my entire family. And I just loved being able to do that. So it meant a lot to me. So anyway, also, if you could share this out today, that'd be great. Tag your friends, let them know we're getting rolling. That Russ Reels Live is on. We got an amazing panel. They don't want to miss this discussion. And so there you go. I think that pretty much covers what we need to cover. I think we should get this party started. We're going to start with Nick because we always go ladies first. Here she comes. Whoop, whoop, whoop. How's it going, Nick? I can't hear you.
It's going better now that I turned my mic on. Oh
That
my
always
goodness. How are
helps.
you, Russ? Thank you so much for having me again.
Yes, I am always blessed to have you. Thank you for being here. You talked about mics and having mics on. I have a good friend, Craig McPherson, with woodcutters, CNC woodcutters. He made me this. It's my logo. It's a little microphone. It's
Oh,
my
that's
name.
cute.
It's my a name badge, and I can actually wear it. It's magnetized, and I can wear it when I go around. It's kind of cool. And so, yeah, I just love that. He's been a sponsor and been on my live stream, so we thought the microphone was a cool idea. But listen, let's start off, Nick, by you giving everybody just a little snapshot. For those that don't know you, who is Nick? What are you up to? What are you all about?
Okay, so Nick works in the elevator industry. She loves the job. She is a construction junkie. But more than that, Nick is completely filled up when she writes. Writing is just my thing. For me, it's all about evoking the emotions in your reader. And I am by no means a studied writer. In fact, I didn't start writing until, well, now I could say about a year. February 14th, actually. Valentine's is when I started this journey. Um, I was able to be on a live show for the second time. And backstage, I met someone that offered me the opportunity to contribute to an anthology. And this was a pro bono anthology she was doing. So it was win win for me. And that's pretty much how I got into all of this. That went from one to two to three last year. And December, I just said, you know what? How is it that I want to end the year now? I've already authored in three number one bestsellers. I wanted to end the year publishing. And that's exactly what I did, along with the help of so many
Yeah,
CJ, Susanna, Christine. I could not have done it without them. And of course, 17 other authors in the book,
right.
yourself included. And that's the
Yeah.
beauty of an anthology, so many voices in one
Mhm.
place, so many perspectives, and something for everyone.
It's really amazing. And I was blessed to be part of, that the a note to my family, really because of you and Lonnie Ray. I am now on my fourth collaborative book. I've already published two. The third that I've written is being published this month. And then actually the one I'm working on with CJ and Susanna and all the group there, the boundaries, that one is going to be out probably later this month too. They'll probably get that out
Mm-hmm,
pretty quick.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, super excited about that. But listen, we're going to keep moving. You got a lot on this topic tonight to add, but we're going to bring my good friend Rob Berry in the room. Rob is always full of good information. Hey, Rob.
Hey, what's going on, Russ?
I am just happy to be alive. It's Thursday. It's been a good week. And, my best memory of Rob was the first time I met him. I was in the comments on one of his shows with a good friend of mine. And the two of them threw it out there that anybody wanted them to analyze their website, just throw it in the comments and on you could come. And they just dismantled my website. And it was some of the best advice I ever got. So anyway, it was
Well,
it was good. It was good, Rob, and I loved it actually. So listen, now let's talk about you. Who is Rob and what are you all about? Go ahead.
so I am all about people and processes. So I've spent most of my career as an auditor, but don't let that scare you. It's not a four-letter word. Trust me, I counted. It's really not. I realized a long time ago I was really good at it, but I realized I was good at it because of the way that I treated people. And so now I focus my time, effort, and energy on corporate training, specializing in communication skills, specifically soft skills and writing skills for accounting and auditing professionals, because I just thought every accountant was the life of the party. I thought all of them had good personalities. I didn't realize that they didn't. So, yeah.
Well, it's one thing I love about Rob. You have a great sense of humor, but you got to get to know Rob a little bit to understand his sense of humor. And speaking of sense of humors, I'm going to bring in my good friend and co-host, Mr. D. Scott Smith. Scott's in the house. How you going, man?
Yeah, I did good. I was leaning back, so I had to sit up, so I didn't look quite so
I
casual.
caught you off guard. You probably thought, yeah, Russ going to leave me to the end. I'm old hat, so
Rob,
Scott,
Rob, I love your comment about people and process because, as I look back over my career, I was in financial services, high tech and low tech manufacturing, agriculture. Now I work for myself for the last 10 plus years. The way I often describe this diverse background is that the one thread that runs through all of it is people and process, and it doesn't change whether you're in working with people, whether you're working with products, services, manufacturing, retail, wholesale. It's all people and process. I love that.
Yeah. And of course, Scott, besides being a very accomplished live stream host, is got so many amazing talents, and we don't have time to get into all of them. Let's just suffice it to say, a lot of what I'm doing today would not have come to fruition had it not been for his encouragement. So, Scott, I appreciate you for that. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
And we're going to get Robert Peterson in the room because, it's been a while since I've seen Robert. How's it going, buddy? And I can't hear you either. It's only the live streamers that forget to mute themselves.
Man, that's the problem at StreamYard. I'm not used to muting myself.
I know. When you're used to running the show, you don't have to mute yourself. And when, you're the guest, suddenly it's different, right?
There's too many buttons.
Too many buttons. Well, listen, I was going to make a note on that, but I'm going to move along on that. Robert, give everybody a little snapshot. Who's Robert and what are you up to?
Yeah, so Robert's a pastor turned entrepreneur and focused on helping people find more profit and revenue in their business. And similar to Rob, it's about people and processes, right people in the right seats with the right processes for the business owner to focus on will help them grow their business. And so good things can happen.
Yes, that is so important. And, we talked about that earlier today on my Marketing with Russ show and about intentionality, because if you're not intentional about the people and the processes, you run into problems there. So, and speaking of intentional, one of my awesome, incredible friends just north of me, close enough to go out and have coffee with, Mr. Michael Holt is with us today. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Russ. How you doing, buddy?
I am so good. Anytime I see that smile, I'm good to go.
Well, I'm thinking the same thing as I watch your shows each morning. It's fun to be part of the panel because you always bring it with great guests and great topics.
Yeah, I get rid of half the comments, though, if you're not in the comments and just on the panel. So I got to watch that. Anyway, hey, Michael, give everybody a snapshot. Who is Michael Holt? What are you up to?
Wow, I love it. I'm that casino guy. I spent 30 plus years in these little mini casinos up here in La Center, Washington. I took pottery and PE at our local college to get ready to lead about 425 individuals and had a lot of fun around that card table. And in 2020, the owners sold those little casinos, and I had the pleasure of starting a family-based business and now running a little digital marketing company here in Vancouver, Portland area.
So, yes, just a little digital marketing company and doing amazing things. But, I think that we're going to jump right into our topic and just get going. And Nick, I'm going to start with you because I know that this is near and dear to your heart. And it's so important because I think that, people, are having fears all the time people almost have a fear of success, right? They don't know where to go. And so many things can get in the way and just shut us down. Talk about that a little bit.
I was actually having a conversation with my sister a couple of days ago. She recently had her second child. She's at home right now on mat leave. And she said, I really need to do something to earn a little extra income passively. And she mentioned something to me, but she said, oh, the market is so saturated with this. I said, which market isn't? And that's not the place to start. And I say this after a little over a year because I was that person. I was that person that said, me, right? Why on earth? There's so many people out there writing already. There's so many content creators. What makes me any different? But the thing is, it wasn't about, what I could lose, but it was about what I could gain. And for me, especially, it was a personal journey. It was a personal journey because I am bipolar. And unfortunately, whether or not we like it, there are stigmas. Although I always say the stigma starts with me. Because if I let people think of me or treat me a certain way and I allow it, then the stigma starts with me. So I just got up and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to embrace me, do what fills me up, do what makes me happy. And that's exactly what I did. And that was the catalyst to everything. It's saying yes. Saying yes. And then my secret formula, honestly, is just it's passion plus desire plus action equals results. You got to start somewhere. And the worst thing you could do is not start. So fair is a hell of a thing. It's not just what I do. It's with pretty much anything, like you say. If you're a shy person and you're going to step out in a crowd, oh my God, that's fearful. So, for example, my husband's very introverted. I'm very extroverted. Could you imagine us? I'm dragging him and he's like, oh, no, let's go back to the car. And, I bring that part up as well because it plays a big part in your fear. Let's be honest, we're only human. Every single moment is not going to be positive, positive, positive. You need to have a really good support system as well. That could be one person, that could be 100 people. But when you have the right support system behind you, between you and that support system, you could achieve anything. Absolutely anything.
I totally agree with that. And Rob, I see you nodding. I think it's such a important thing to believe, to know that we ourselves can shut ourselves down before anybody else even enters the process. And we also can talk ourselves into being successful by looking at things with the right perspective on life, right? And you're muted again.
So, so look, here's the thing with fear. I have a view on fear that most people don't have. And so when I say what I'm going to say, some people are going to think that I'm crazy until I'm finished. Fear is actually a really good thing. We all should have fear. The problem is the way that we treat fear. We
Right.
treat fear like a red light. As soon as we come up to something that's fearful, we stop and we pause. Fear is actually a yellow light. We should pause at stuff. Some stuff that we're thinking about doing is just downright stupid. And some stuff that we're thinking about doing is downright genius. And the fear makes us stop and really think about it and figure out, okay, am I going the genius route or am I going the stupid route? So I think we use fear wrong. We use it as a stop sign instead of a yellow light because we're afraid of what might happen, because some people will definitely try and exploit our fears. So I don't think eliminating the fear is the thing. I think managing the fear is really where it's at.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because I think there is some good fears that stop us, like you said, from doing stupid things we shouldn't or hurting ourselves and things like that is built into us, but we cannot let it. We're going to go through that process. We're going to fear. I'm a strong believer and I believe, God said, do not fear, but it wasn't because he thought we could stop being afraid. It's because he knew we would be afraid and he knew we would fear. And I think it's overcoming that or moving through the process of that. Right, Robert?
Yeah, I like what Rob said there, using fear as a yellow light, because obviously it's a survival mechanism and we forget that our brains are geared for survival. And even though we no longer have to, worry about the lion around the corner is ready to eat us, our brains haven't evolved into this comfort state that most people are living in, and getting ourselves to recognize when when our brain is fearing something, it's trying to communicate something, right? It's fear that we're stepping out of that comfort zone, we're taking a risk, and risk involves potentially getting hurt, and so the brain's trying to protect you from that. And so when you can recognize that and then ask the fear what the message is, it's kind of like understanding our emotions, like anger and sadness. Like it's okay to ask ourselves, what is this trying to tell me, and use it as a tool, like that yellow light. Is this fear meaning it's trying to save me from jumping off a cliff and landing on a rock? Or is this fear trying to stop me from, making some cold calls because I'm worried somebody's going to say no to me?
Right. Right. And that's where really, I believe it comes down to perspective, right? Because people think that they are a failure because they make a cold call and somebody says no to them. And, actually, I like to look at it that every no is one step closer to a yes. That even though someone might not be interested, I might make a good friend. They may be somebody that I want to hang out with or do collaborate with on something else. Who knows, right? And so there's so many good ways to look at things that don't bring up that fear, and we allow that for ourselves, right, Mr. D. Scott Smith?
Yeah. So, our brain is controlling fear. It's a response to some condition that we perceive as a threat. And so we've got the amygdala. That's our fight or flight or freeze. And that's where I love all it talks about books. That's this one right back here, Freeze, Inaction in the Face of Business Crisis, one that Veronica Jeans and I put together. Because when we're threatened, we're going to try to hopefully take action. But is that I love the yellow light comes on, and we got to decide what we're going to do. Are we going to take action? We're going to, or not? Freezing is a bad idea. And so when we start thinking about these different emotions that we don't have the capacity for language at that part of our brain. And so we're trying to rationalize it. Why don't you want to do this? But we can't put words to it. So we try to come up with some rationalization, but it just doesn't work because we're trying to put language to a part of our brain that has no capacity for language.
That's right. That's right. No, I totally agree with that. I've got a couple quotes that I'd like to read that I am currently using actually in my writing. And Jeanette Corson says, "Don't let the fear of failure keep you away from your destiny." I think God created us for some pretty amazing things, and we're letting fear stop us from things that we could be doing, that we were meant to do. I also love this one. This is an unknown quote, but fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Actually, getting out there and doing something, failure doesn't kill nearly as many as those people that stop and freeze, like you said, Scott, and never actually get through that process. And so, Michael Holt, give us your take.
Yeah, no, D. Scott, by the way, I got the book here in my background, Freeze. It was a great read. So those of you that, need something to read and want help with your fears, that I'm plugging D. Scott's because it is such a great book. But, fear is, it's normal, right? That you've heard the saying many times, false evidence appearing real. It's something out into the future, probably something you haven't dealt with before. So you're not quite sure how to attack it. And for me, I always come back, I'm a Jesus guy. So I come to my faith and find power in that prayer, and then giving, listening to what is being brought to me and then acting upon it. But, it sounds simple, but it's not. We're all guilty of freeze. We all are fearful of things and have paused one time or another when we should have moved forward. But the more that you really do take that action and go get that fear, and usually the things that you fear most, you need to go get first. You usually look back and say it wasn't that scary. It wasn't that big of a deal. But when you're going through it, it's pretty real.
Yeah, I think back to going on roller coaster for the first time. And man, it looks scary. And man, there's a little bit of it that is kind of scary. But then you do it and you get through it and you think to yourself, hey, I lived. That wasn't really that bad. In fact, that was a ton of fun. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
And so it's overcoming that, and having a little bit of courage. And I love this quote by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. Moving forward, moving through it, because getting to the other side, making progress, doing things that will make you successful are more important than that fear itself. Nick, what do you think about that?
I don't even know which one of the quotes I want to address because they were all so good. But I do want to say to the panel as a whole, I don't know what rock I've been living under, but I've never heard of thinking of fear as a yellow light, honestly. And that is genius. It really is. And in saying that, I know like Russ is writing in this book, Beyond Boundaries, and it almost makes me think of like the yellow light being that gray area. And for me, I'm like a pretty black and white person. I am that person that's going to jump in first and not really pay attention to if she's going to get hurt. That's actually, for me, how, at least how this all started. I didn't think and I jumped. And as I did, I had to find my footing and I found it. And once I found it, it was just get up, walk, and run from there. I'm not saying that that's, the way it should be done, but it worked for me.
Right.
Now, it being a year later and starting my business just 2 months after writing in that book, and now the business is open, almost a year. It is almost in a way that I saw opportunities and I just jumped right into them. Honestly, I didn't know if they would work out or not. I just didn't think about it. I know maybe I'm a little different on the panel here, but that's what worked for me, at least, facing it head on, not stopping to think about it. I just ran right through.
It's interesting you bring that up because one of the biggest fears people have is the fear of public speaking. In fact, Scott and I both graduated from Oregon State University the same year. And many of the people that I went to school with waited till their very last term to take their one speech class because they were so afraid of public speaking. I was a speech communications major, so that's all I ever did was talk. They couldn't shut me up, keep me away from math, but speech was great. But what I find is when people hit it head on, like you said, when you jump in, just like I did you guys have heard of the polar bear, what do they call it? The polar plunge.
Polar plunge.
First time I did the polar plunge, YMCA camp when I was like in 6th grade. And you just couldn't think about it. You just had to jump into that freezing cold water and it really hit you. But if you thought about it, you were not getting in that water. You couldn't creep in the water. You had to just jump in the water. And I find with speaking, it's the same way. I have always been a person that goes on the offense. So if I go into a room, I don't give myself time to worry or fret or think about what might happen or what might not happen. I just put myself right out there. I talk in front of all the people. I'm going to speak at an event tomorrow. I just take it on right off the bat. And so I don't have any fear because I don't allow myself time to have that fear. And Rob, what do you think about that? Because you're the kind of guy that hits things head on as well.
It kind of, but it wasn't always that way. And Nick just said she'd never heard of use fear as a red light. My grandmother used to say it to me all the time. As a kid, I was really, really shy. And she wanted me to not run from fear, but she wanted me to understand how to use fear. Kind of like what you just said about public speaking. So I was deathly afraid of public speaking a long time ago. But, in thinking about it logically, what's the worst that could really happen? You find something that's bigger and greater than your fear. And now I've spoken on stages internationally. in the UK, in Southeast Asia, in the US. I mean, just all over the place. If there's a microphone, I'm talking now. But it was because I realized it was a fear and I ran from it a few times. And then I thought, but the benefit on the other side of that fear is greater than the thing that I'm afraid of. So, for lack of a better term, man up, do something, right? So, yeah,
Right.
I do think that fear is something that can put a real dent in us if we allow it to. But I also think that people who are truly fearless are people who are truly dangerous. If you meet someone that is truly fearless, you need to run from that person, because everybody should fear something. It's what keeps order in life. It's what keeps us straight.
That's true. That's true. I think one fear that people have, they, I was watching a series the other night. We've kind of got into the old Blue Bloods series. I don't know if you guys have ever watched that, but good series. But one of the young people in the show, still in high school, was in class, and her friend, somebody put something out on the internet and it hit everybody's phones, and everybody just laughed at her and mocked her and did all this thing. That's what people are afraid of. They're afraid, what is everybody going to think? What is everybody going to think? What if I do this? What is everybody really going to think about me? What do you think about that, Scott?
Well, I put that quote in from Frank Herbert, right, in the book Dune. And he says, I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. And so when these things happen, and in the post, when I shared this post out, I talked about some experiences I had back at work, where the question I asked was, if this doesn't happen or we do this and it goes wrong, will someone die? And the answer is generally no. Now, when I was running chemical operations and something went wrong, someone could die. So you take extra precaution and you do things differently, right? But and I've talked about this before on some of the other shows that we've done, Russ, that there was research that says there's a part of our brain that becomes active probably about 6 or 7 years old, because every young child is an artist, an actor, a dancer, poet. They're singing in the aisles of the grocery store at the tops of their lungs because they don't care, right? But you hit about 6 or 7, and that's the part of our brain that kicks on that says we are concerned about what other people have to say about us. And so they had this MRI that they put these jazz musicians in, and improvisation is a huge part of jazz music. And so they looked at their brains while they had them play music note for note. Just play what's written on the page. And they looked at the brain. Then they said, okay, now improvise based on this theme of this music. And then when they went into that part, the interesting aspect wasn't what turned on in their brain, it was what turned off. And what turned off in the brain was the part that says, I care what other people have to say. So if you want to be creative, you just have to do it and not worry. Is it going to be like someone else's? Is it going to be good? What if people don't like it? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And it's interesting because I think it back to when I was early on in music, and I played the trumpet through school, was one of the things besides vocal music. And I loved jazz improvisation. And there's this thing called dissonant notes. That means the chord progression that you're playing, that note isn't quite in there, but it's called a dissonant note, right? It's off just a little bit, but it kind of fits in the way you're doing it. Well, every time I hit a wrong note, dissonant notes, all that is, man, I just came up with that. That's what it is.
That's what we said in music is that if you make a mistake, just repeat it and call it jazz.
There you go. That's exactly it. Robert, tell us about your musical prowess, and are you going to sing us a song today?
Yeah, no chance of that. No, You mentioned roller coaster, and I just heard a quote last week that nobody pays for a flat roller coaster. And so we get this idea of facing a fear and the reward, right? So that the fear and reward play against each other. And the reason we pay and stand in line for roller coasters is because of the fear, and that sets up the reward that you get from the excitement. And so we talk about the entrepreneurial journey as a roller coaster, right? The ups and downs of owning a business. And that's part of the reward is really that freedom that entrepreneurship can create when we get on that, when we, take that chance and get on that ride in spite of the fear.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, you're doing it in spite of the fear. And I think that is what is key, because just like the quote by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, right? We're doing what we could accomplish. It means more to us than the fear of this stopping us. And so, Michael, I'm going to let you take it from there.
Yeah, everybody's telling their story. I was thinking about the time that I was in Las Vegas, and we were going to the top of the stratosphere, and there's a bungee jump off the top of it that you can go to. And I don't know how many people are scared of heights, but it definitely was on my fear list. I just, as soon as I got to the top of the stratosphere, I decided I was going to face my fear. But when I got to the very top and I looked over the sides, and that swimming pool that you're going to have a choice to dunk your head in or not, looked really, really small. And the feeling inside that comes with fear is so real. I mean, it's almost like it just overtakes your body. And I think the lesson was, as I was gathered around with about a half a dozen of other people that were going to jump, there was probably about a 14-year-old girl that decided to go ahead of me. And they buckled the bungee cord onto her ankles, and they asked her, "Do you want to touch the water down below, or do you want to get close to the water?" And she says, "No, I want my hair to go into that water." And she put her boots on, she jumped over, she went down and came back up. And now it was my turn. And this gets back to what you were saying. I think one of you guys were talking about whether or not, D. Scott, you said you're going to die or not. You do think about it. You could die doing something you had a choice not to do. But my point with the story is, I said I don't want to touch the water because I wanted to give air with my weight just in case I went too far. But once she jumped and made it okay for me to jump, that I could see somebody that had accomplished what it is that I wanted. And I bring that back to fear, because typically when we get ready to jump and we're fearful of something, it's something we've never done before. So find somebody that's done what you're thinking about doing. There is somebody out there that's probably already done it. And then get that pearls of wisdom. And then all I can tell you is jump. Because when you do jump and you accomplish that goal, there's nothing better than facing your fear. And that's the lesson that I got from that whole thing of going up and really going after what it is that you're fearing.
I think that so often that the after result is so exhilarating and so amazing. Even Nick, we're going to start our last round here, and I want your final comments and how people get in touch with you. But even writing a book, there's a lot of people that have fear of putting out their writing because they don't know what people will think. And you have learned to overcome that fear. I never thought in a million years that I would write a book. And if it wasn't for D. Scott Smith putting me in a headlock and telling me I had to do it, I probably wouldn't have written my first book. but then by encouraging people like you, Nick, and Lonnie Ray and CJ and people, look at that. I am a 2-time international bestseller, soon to be 3, and have perspectives on cancer book coming out. Who knows what'll happen with that one? All kinds of fun stuff, but because you take a chance. So, Nick, final comments.
I'm making sure I press on mute this time. Okay.
You're not on mute, you're all good.
I did not set out to be a writer, but I can say that I'm a person that's very raw. So whether it was the written word or just when I communicate with others, I never had a problem expressing my feelings. I know that it doesn't always come out right. And that's something I've had to work on. I'm telling you, admittedly. But I found that in my writing, you could backspace, you could type again, right? Some of the thing is, you just, but what my writing did for me is I think it gave me a level of confidence that I did not have in myself before. Like I thought I was confident in my job, and I am, but in another respect, which is my bipolarness, right? I allowed that to feel like it was a handicap, and then realized it really wasn't. Because now I just took those crazy emotions running around inside of me and just dumped it pretty much on paper. And as I did that, I realized that whatever fear it is that I did have inside of me, I was going to overcome it. There was no way it wasn't possible. And that next step is just everybody reading it. Once people read it, and like you guys all say, you really can't be creative and also worry what other people are going to think. You got to put your creativity out there. It's not going to resonate with everybody. That's perfectly fine. But start with gratitude and start with, you know what? I have a creative mind. I have the desire to do something with it. Just take it from there. I'm going to do something with it.
Yeah. That's awesome. How do people get in touch with you, Nick? They want to learn more?
LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook as well. And I do have an author's page on Amazon. You could find me there. And if you're looking for me and you can't find me, just ask Russ.
There you go. And all that connection information appeared magically below her and is in the comments and the show notes. So you guys can click on that and go straight to it. That is so awesome. Rob, you're up next.
Here's what as soon as I turn my mic on, here's what I'll say about fear. Russ, fear is befuddling, right?
It is.
Fear is very befuddling. And there's a few things that I learned about it growing up as a really, really shy kid to someone who is not so shy. I think you have to find something that's greater than that thing that you fear. That's the first thing. But then as you are actually overcoming your fear, you got to be aware of people who criticize you without context, because those people will bring you down because they don't know the full story. They don't know what you're fearing and the steps that you're taking to overcome it. But then the third thing that I've learned is you have to learn from other people's wisdom or their foolishness. Either way, it's a lesson for you to help you overcome your fears, because fear is it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I think we need it in our lives to help steer us in the right direction. But with everything in life, it requires balance. Too much of it, no good. Too little of it, and we're reckless and dangerous. So balance.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Rob, how do people get in touch with you?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the ultimate way to find me, or you can just go to thatauditguy.com.
Awesome. So good. So good. All right, Robert, you are up next, my friend.
Yeah, I think, that piece of leaning into your fear, the whole bungee jumping thing, I can relate to jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. But yet those things for me were easier than, picking up a phone and making a cold call. Like there's certain, and my risk factor was significantly higher bungee jumping or jumping out of an airplane. And yet my brain allowed me to do those things. So it's fear can be super, super weird. And I think the people that are willing to lean into the fear and push ourselves out of our comfort zone, I think we're just at a state in human development where the comfort zone is just, it's so much easier to go home at the end of the day and sit in the couch and turn on, some streaming service or sports and we get used to that level of safety and security. And the more you stay in that comfort zone, the less likely you are to go out and take a risk. And I think, Scott mentioned it, that little piece that's really the most important. If you can overcome the fear of worrying about what other people think, you you then empower yourself to do incredible, incredible things. And one of the new things that pushes against that is called rejection therapy. And some people call it, he talked about getting the no's and the no's lead to the yes. No, this is even better than that. This is really like the idea of go for the no, go for the biggest, craziest, ask for the craziest things. Like the example he gave was, we asked the policeman if we could shoot his gun. Of course he said no, but guess what? He let us drive the squad car. Like stuff like that happens. So go to some places and every day try to get somebody, make a crazy ask that somebody's going to say no to. And then sometimes they're going to say yes, but in that practice of taking that bigger risk of asking a question that nobody else would ask, crazy opportunities will come to you.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And people get in touch with you.
LinkedIn or robertcpeterson.com.
There you go. There you go. And I think we have most of that information here below you. And thanks to you, Robert. Yes, my banner typo is fixed. And so Robert's in the background telling me.
Most people have figured out,
something.
Russ, I think, but
yes, there you go. Why? Hopefully they will. But anyway, yes, I love that. That's for the craziest thing. So good. Scott, you're up next. And you're muted too. It's all good.
And if you remember that you will never be hindered by fear ever again. That's all you need to know. That's it. So when I was in high school, I was taking this civics class, and we had a chance to go to this conference, and it's over at Seaside. So in Oregon, that's a big resort town, and it's 800 rich Republicans. And I'm 17 years old, and I'm just overwhelmed by all these people there. And they had an open mic. They had a mic on this side, mic on that side, and the person at the podium. And people were getting up there and saying things. And I had been researching and writing, and I thought, I've got something to say. So I stood in line and, left, right, microphone, and come up. And it comes up to be my turn. And I had a little note card with some notes on it about what I was going to say. And I stepped up to the microphone, and it literally went black, right? I mean, I could not see anything. So I couldn't see my note card. I couldn't hear really anything that was going on, but apparently it didn't stop me from talking. And I said something. I don't know what it was. It must have been completely unintelligible, because the person from the podium up the front said, "Okay, thank you very much. Let's go over to this side over here." And from that moment on, it's never been a problem, because I did the worst thing I could, right? I'm 17 years old. I'm there with 800 rich people, and I just embarrassed myself at the microphone. So then later on, I'm working for the bank, and we were a sponsor of this big concert series, and they give you this commemorative poster. And I'm in the back with a couple other people who were going to get these posters. And they said, the leader that was going to hand these things out says, "Do you guys want to say something?" And before I could say anything, the rest of them said, "Oh yes, we want to say something." So I had like 2 minutes to think of what I was going to say and get up on that stage and be handed the microphone and say something to 10,000 people. And because I had already done the worst thing that was possible, completely blacked out, it didn't matter, right? The people weren't going to leave. They weren't going to throw rocks at me. They weren't going to burn my car. So I got up, and what do you do in a situation like that? You're just very gracious. You say, "Well, I just want to thank Dave and his whole team for putting together this great concert series. We're proud to be a supporter of it. Thank you very much. Please enjoy the show." And I grab get the poster and walk off the stage. So it doesn't matter, right? Again, just weigh out those consequences. Is someone going to die? Probably not. Are your feelings going to get hurt? Maybe. Will they recover? Absolutely. And then your friends, the people who love you, are going to be there to support and encourage you anyway. So don't worry about the other folks. And so you can find me at dscottsmith.com. LinkedIn, D. Scott Smith is a great way to contact me. On the website is all of the platforms. Whatever works for you is how I want to talk to you. And this picture right behind me is from Hope 107.9 radio station. That's actually some of the AM equipment there. And Russ will have something to say about that at another time.
All right. Well, listen, Michael Holt, you're just bringing up the last amazing quote of the day. Go for it.
So good. I can't help but think, fear not. I'm an amateur when it comes to the Bible, and probably the thing I fear the most is really just getting out, shining my light, and having people challenge me. But it was earlier this week that the message came up, and I heard it, and it really kind of resonated with me because of our topic. But fear not is in the Bible, and Robert, you probably know 365 times, which happens to be how many days there are in a year, unless there's leap year. So there's 366. So I guess there's one day a year this year you can worry or have a little bit of fear, but don't fear. We're all designed here with the purpose. We all have something special to go do. And you know what? When it's all done and said, go shine your light. Panel, you've been amazing. And again, that's what I love about your show, Russ. You continue to bring people in that give from the heart. And I'm grateful that you invited me and thought of me today. So thank you.
Well, and of course, we are grateful to have you here. Thank you so, so much. You always have so much great wisdom, and I appreciate you. And, I just want to close with one short story, and that is, we talk about the fear of what others are going to think. And a lot of times when we can see others and how they're reacting to us, it makes such a difference. But have you ever noticed when you can't really see people and how they're reacting, the fear level goes way down? And I think that Rob, you were talking about speaking in front of thousands of people around the world. I was asked to do a song that I wrote for a Mother's Day weekend at Oregon State when I was there. And it was a song I wrote for my mom, and the head of this big show they put on at Gill Coliseum, which was the big basketball arena. They had it all decked out for this show, and they asked me to come center stage, play this song, and sing it while he gave roses to his mom, because it was all about our moms. And the way they had the lights down, the sound was great. The crowd was black. It was all on me, and I could see nobody. And I can tell you that I just floated along, was not nervous at all. I couldn't see anybody, just played and sang. It was great. I went into a room with 5 people the next day that all were looking at me, and I was twice as scared as I had been the night before with thousands of people. So it just is all in our head. A lot of that is my point. A lot of it is really up to us. And I really appreciate all of you being here tonight. And to make it easy on myself, I'm just going to say goodbye with all of you here. But I want to say a couple quick things. I want to remind everybody that we're here on Russ Reels Live every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for your listening and viewing pleasure. This does convert to audio podcast as well, so you'll see that. And we appreciate the engagement and the community so much. All of us do here, and appreciate you being here. Scott did allude to Hope Radio, and Scott and I have a show, The Experience Live with Russ and Scott, every Wednesday morning. And that now is expanding. That 7 a.m. Wednesday morning Pacific time show will still be here. But we are doing a show called The Experience Local that will live stream 9 a.m. Monday morning starting in March, the first Monday in March. It's going to be local people from our area. These are going to be believers in business that really are taking their faith into business. This is a Christian radio station that we're working with, and we're going to then be broadcasting that live on, or actually it's recorded. It'll be later that night, 6 p.m. Mondays on radio locally, which will be amazing. And we're really drawing the local community together. So Scott and I are really excited about that. I was doing a lot of work on that today and getting that all put together. So you guys can look for that because it'll be live streamed as well. But just appreciate all these opportunities to be with people like all of you, friends that are amazing, have so much value. And I just want to thank you for that. And thank everybody for watching. And until we see you again, we're going to first of all, give you our crazy face for the selfie shot. Here we go. Got to get the screenshot. There we go. Ever's got that. And until we see you guys again, have a great day to great life. Bye, everybody. See ya.